Hey everybody, my name is Paige. I'm a full-time student here at Sky CTC, and today I'm going to be going over the play Oedipus Rex that was written and performed by Sophocles, and the playwright was sometime performed and written between 430 and 426 BCE. So, in the play Oedipus Rex, you see and know Oedipus as the tragic hero all throughout this entire playwright. He had done a very bad thing and didn't even realize it until later on in the play, probably like in the middle of the plot. So, there was a prophecy that was made about Oedipus whenever he was born to his parents that he was going to kill his very own father, marry his mother, and bear 4 children. And basically, what a prophecy is that it is a fate that has been determined by the gods that are relayed among the rulers of certain cities. So, the king of Thebes, which was King Lysias, which was Oedipus's father, decided that he was going to tie Oedipus up and have an oracle drop him off in the mountains where nobody could see him, nobody could find him, and something would come and take him and kill him, or he would just die of natural causes with no food or anything to drink. So, as an oracle would normally do with the king, he obeys the king. He takes the child away once the child is born, and he takes him to the mountains, and like any other person would, he could not stand to leave the child tied up to die. And that's like any other person would in this world. So what had happened was there was a city nearby called the city of Corinth. So he had took Oedipus to the city of Corinth and talked to the king about this child. And the king of Corinth decided to take this child in and raise him as his own. So, with that being said, Oedipus grew up rather than in the city of Thebes, in the city of Corinth. So, as Oedipus was growing up, he had no idea about the prophecy. He had never met his birth mother, birth father, or his siblings. So, what had happened was Oedipus was out on a 3-way crossroad, and there's 3 men that came by that had demanded him to get off the crossroad so a carriage could pass. And as the plot of the story takes place, of course, no, he wasn't going to get off the path. He was there first, just like every other thing. And he ended up killing the 3 men that were on the path. Little did he know one of them was his birth father, which would make the prophecy start unfolding, because the first step of the prophecy was that he would kill his own father. So, next up what happened was he killed these 3 men and solved the riddle to get into the city of Thebes. And with that being said, he got to sit alongside Jocasta, his birth mother. And he later on falls in love with Jocasta. They get married and they bear 4 children. So now the prophecy had been fulfilled, and none of them even knew that it had happened, because they didn't put 2 and 2, because Jocasta had thought that Oedipus was sent to the mountains to die, rather than him being saved by the oracle and taken to the city of Corinth. Jocasta later on finds out about it before Oedipus did. Oedipus started putting 2 and 2 together that the prophecy had come true. And by the time that Oedipus had figured out that he was the son of King Lysias and Queen Jocasta, it was already too late. He goes to let Jocasta know about what he had found out, to find her that she had already killed herself. Oedipus had then gouged out his own eyes, so he did not have to look at all of his sins that he had caused and all the damage that he had caused. In my personal thoughts, at the end of the day, I strictly believe that Greek life and Oedipus and Jocasta, King Lysias, the royalty of Athens, Greece, they cared about their character. They were the ruler of a certain city, so I truly believe that they cared what other people thought about them. To see that Jocasta had killed herself because she married her own son and bore 4 children because of this prophecy, That's sin. And Oedipus gouged out his own eyes so he did not have to see all of the sin that he had caused and all of the damage that he had caused. He left Thebes because of how terrible he felt about this entire situation. So that itself being said shows that they care what others think about them. And that's how he becomes to be the tragic hero at the end of the story, is because he saw his wrongs. He couldn't change the past. He wasn't going to kill himself, but he stopped himself from having to look at it. So with the historical context of this entire play, with Greek society, I would have thought that when it comes to family, that they would be first priority. They would put one another first, and they would care about one another. And I would think it would be a big deal to just leave your child, the future ruler of a city, to die because of a prophecy. And personally, it kind of makes me think that the reason that the prophecy was said was because that's how it was going to start the entire process. Everything happens for a reason. And part of me thinks if they were to keep Oedipus, that maybe it wouldn't have happened. Because at the end of the day, no son is going to kill their father so they can marry their mother, take the throne, and have children with her. Because Oedipus gouged out his own eyes because of this entire situation. They don't want to, and then I learned at Greece, by the way King Lysias threw Oedipus out, he didn't want to lose the throne. The throne was the most important thing to him because it gave him a higher social status than everybody else. It shows me that they believe so much in prophecies, their gods, their fates, that they will go to extreme measures to make sure that the bad prophecies don't come true. It makes me really question if they care that much about their family or whether they care more about their throne. You can tell by the way the characters are that King Lysias is very concerned about his title as the king of Thebes, because he did every single thing that he could to make sure that that prophet was not right about his fate. He did not want his son to kill him so he could get the throne. He wanted to rule Thebes as long as he could, so he sent his own son away to die. Oedipus had no idea about the prophecy and killed a man and married Jocasta. And once he found out about it, he wasn't happy with himself, so he killed his very own self. She killed herself, and he had gouged out his eyes, so he did not have to look at his own kids because he was like, that was with my mother. So the setting in Oedipus Rex is around 429 BCE in the city-state called Thebes, and more at the colonists near Athens at the very end. The plot is considered that the fate of Oedipus was sent away by his family because he was set to kill his very own father and marry his mother. But the oracle just couldn't bear to leave him there. So the way that a prophecy works, like I said, is all about how the gods say everything is going to roll out. And if you change one thing, it can be a totally different outcome. So a prophecy doesn't have to be correct from the get-go. The prophecy can change over time. So the language and wording of this shows that in Greece, people care about their social status. People care about what others think of them. They don't want to be seen doing wrong. They don't want to see people doing wrong. So therefore, that is exactly how Oedipus, King Lysias, Jocasta, that's how it all came to be, was that King Lysias didn't want to give up the throne because he wanted the high social status. So he sent his own son away. Oedipus wanted to be loved. He wanted to rule with Jocasta. And whenever they found out about the prophecy coming true, Jocasta had killed herself because she doesn't want to be known as the person that married her own son and bore children with him and started ruling with him. And Oedipus couldn't stand the thought of seeing all of his children that he had with his own mother. So he gouged out his own eyes and stepped down from the throne so someone more suiting could be there for the city. And I admire that about some of the characters. So, in conclusion, you can tell that in Greece, people care most about their